In my hands, I have 4 of the most popular driving irons on the market today, and in this video, we're gonna test them and see how they stack up and compare against one another. So let's get right into it. So it seems like in this modern game, driving irons have become an absolute staple for many of golf's top players, especially those players with a little bit more club head speed or those who are really looking for secondary driving options off the tee. But the question that begs to be asked is, how do these models truly differ from each other in terms of looks, feel, versatility, and overall performance? And that is what we are here to find out today. So in today's video, we have 4 different models to test: the Srixon ZX Mark II Utility, Taylormade's latest P UDI that just came out a couple of days ago, Mizuno's 2024 Mizuno Pro Fli Hi just came out a couple of months ago, and PXG's latest 0317X driving iron. This is a fantastic lineup. I'm very excited to put them all to the test, and we'll be doing it on the driving range with GC Quad on real grass to see how these stack up and compare in real world conditions. All that said, guys, we're out here on the driving range now, so let's get into testing. Alrighty guys, so we are set up on the range here, ready to go. I think the way we're gonna work through these clubs is we're gonna start with the Srixon, then PXG, then Mizuno, and then we'll end with the Taylormade. Now, something I do want to point out before we even start testing, these are not all loft match. You know, unfortunately, the stock lofts with each OEM are slightly different. So they are all either 18 or 19 degrees, but they are not matched in terms of lofts. And shaft-wise, they're close, relatively close in terms of profile, but they're definitely not the same. So gotta take the numbers a little bit with a grain of salt. But at the end of the day, we're really here to test these heads and see how they perform. I'm not really super worried about the lofts or the shafts. But nonetheless, starting with the Srixon ZX Mark II Utility, taking a look down at this thing. Head size, a little bit small, actually, down at address, which is pretty interesting because when I tested the Srixon Mark II irons, those look pretty big-headed to me. I don't know if it's just the proportions of like how wide the head is, because as you look down at this, you can kind of see the back sticking out. So maybe that makes it look a little bit smaller, but definitely not a big head in my opinion. What's really interesting is the top light is actually kind of squared off in terms of how it looks from face to back. There's not much camber in the top line. In terms of offset, not much. I mean, obviously there's a little bit, which I don't mind in these longer clubs because it just kind of helps you square the face. But nonetheless, let's go ahead and hit this thing. I think that was a dud ball, but feel-wise, really nice. Kind of hot off the face, but like also sort of soft, if that makes any sense. Kind of like the ZX5 in terms of feel right there. Yeah, this thing feels really nice. It doesn't feel hollow. I don't really know how to describe it. It's like hot, but kind of soft. 229 there, 149 ball, 4200 spin, 11.2 launch. Very solid. For an 18-degree club, it's actually launching relatively high, which is nice. That one says it was a tight draw. The wind is pushing out of the left, so these are gonna probably look like they're going right with the tracer. It's hard to describe how good that feels. 234, 150, 4000, 11.7 launch. In terms of turf interaction, to me, this thing seems like it really just wants to sweep the golf ball. When you look at the sole, it's a little bit wider, but similar to the irons, there's relief on the heel and toe and even the back edge a little bit. I've been a fan of that with the irons. To me, this kind of seems like no exception. The turf interaction seems good. This grass is not super tight, so it's tough to tell. And also, you're not really digging a long iron like this into the ground so much. So, you know, turf interaction-wise, I don't think you're going to notice a massive difference unless you're really steep with these style golf clubs, which most people aren't, because at the end of the day, when it doesn't have much loft, you can't be steep and also get it up in the air. But we'll go ahead and try to flight this thing, maybe see how the turf interaction is from there. Really good. Yeah, that came out much lower. Still felt great. 226, 149, 7 launch, 4100. So for me with the driving irons, you know, obviously this is going to be more of a driving style golf club. But again, when I'm looking at these numbers, I actually don't want this to spin too low. The biggest miss I think most people have with these is they kind of hit that like low duck hook with it. And it's because the golf ball does not have enough spin to stay in the air. So I don't mind this spinning at 4100, even for an 18-degree club, because I know it's at least going to stay in the air. If I toe one or I kind of try to hit like a hard draw, it should still stay up and carry a decent ways. Like that's almost 230 carry. That's going to run to probably 260, I would say. Pulled it, 5.9 launch, 150, 226, 3600. Very solid. For a pull to only drop to like 3600 spin, I really like that. We'll go one more flighted one. I'll try to get really steep, kind of see how the turf interaction is. Yeah, really nice. Very similar to the irons. You know, I feel like I could get really steep with this and it's not going to dig on me. 150 ball, 219, 4.1 launch, 3600 spin. And now we'll go the other way. We'll see if we can hit this a little bit higher. Really good. You know, for me personally, when it comes to these driving iron clubs, I either like them to go, you know, mid-high on a stock shot or low. I like to flight them. I don't really like trying to elevate golf clubs in the air. I find that it's just better to take a little bit more loft or have a club with a little bit lower further back center of gravity like a hybrid or a 7 wood. It's just tough to not bottom out too early when you're trying to elevate a golf club, especially a club like a 2-iron. But that was really good. 12-1 launch, 147, 227, 4300. So a little bit higher launch than our stock ones, maybe like half a degree. I mean, I'll try to hit this as high as I can. But again, like I said, I mean, it's just tough to get the low point right with these. I mean, I feel like I'm going to bottom out back here. But if you can do it, I mean, that is plenty high. I would like to think that that's going to stop on a relatively firm green. 233, 150, 12.6, 4100. This thing's pretty good, man. I mean, it feels good. It seems pretty versatile. I like the turf interaction. I like the look. It's maybe a slightly different look, just considering it kind of looks a little bit smaller and this top line really has zero camber in it, but I like it. I think that that's a really good club to start off with. Next, we'll move up into the PXG 0317X and see how this thing goes. So taking a look down at this thing, definitely a little bit different. To me, a little bit longer heel to toe. It actually looks pretty close, but I'd like to think it's a little bit longer. Definitely more camber in the top line from front to back. Offset, I think it's pretty similar. And again, you can start to see this back kind of sticking out a little bit when you set it behind the golf ball, very similar to the Srixon. You can also see the weight. I don't know if that would be distracting to some people. To me, actually, it's weird because I see where that weight is positioned. It's kind of lined up with the middle of the face. So when I set this behind the golf ball, I kind of know where the center of the face is. Kind of a weird alignment strategy with this club. But yeah, to me, looks good. I would say this one looks like it wants to go slightly higher than the Srixon, if that makes sense. The sole is not really wider. They look very similar in terms of sole width, but I would like to say that this back maybe sticks out a little bit more, or at least it just looks like there's more mass back there because it's maybe not as clean of a back as the Srixon. All right, I mishit that, but a much different feel. It's like a softer, more gooey feel off the face. Kind of very similar to the 0317T. It doesn't feel like hot, like a hollow body golf club. It kind of feels like it's very soft and melts into the face. But that was a mishit. 225 carry, 144 ball, 11.3 launch, and 3900 spin. Let me switch gloves here. Again, missed it, but very similar trajectory to the Srixon. 11 launch there, 227, 148 ball, 4300 spin. Now, damn, bro, I gotta hit one good. 148, 225, 10.3, 4400. I mean, on these misses, they're very consistent. Like, they're carrying very close in terms of numbers. I just need to hit one good. There we go. Finally hit one good. Feel pretty much the exact same. It just doesn't feel like I thinned the crap out of it. 151 ball, 233 carry, 11.2 launch, 4300 spin. Super similar numbers to the Srixon. The main difference so far, feel. Let's go ahead and try to flight this thing. 151, 226, pretty fast ball speed. I want to say maybe slightly faster than the Srixon. 5.7 launch, 4100 spin. Thinned it. 3.5 launch. 143, 202, 3300. Yeah, that was crap. Now I'm just like trying to hit this as low as I possibly can. 2.4, 3400, 146, 200. All right, I'm just gonna try to get like excessively steep. Yeah, it's funny. It's just very similar to the Srixon. It's like it doesn't want to dig into the ground. It just feels different and looks slightly different. But the overall design is extremely similar. Me personally, in terms of feel, they're both really nice just in different ways. All right, one more with this low. That was effing murked right there, folks. That was probably my best contact so far. Still very soft, not super hot. 150 ball, 225, 5.8, 3900. That was really good. Try to hit a couple high now. Not crazy high, but not bad. Didn't pick it up on quad. Yeah, that's a little higher. That's probably in the 12s. Yeah, 12 even. 152, 235, 4300. To me, this seems like a skosh hotter than the Srixon. Just a hair. Not much. Maybe like a mile an hour faster ball speed. All right, one more with this. One more good one. Not my best strike, but really good height. 12.4, 151, 230, 4600. Good numbers, man. I mean, I know I've said it a bunch, but like eerily similar to the Srixon. Just really a slightly different look and slightly different feel. All right, that said, let's go ahead and move up into the Mizuno Pro Fli Hi. I used to game the old version of the Fli Hi, so this one has me pretty excited. Taking a look at this thing, the sole of it, pretty wide in the toe area, and then it kind of narrows as you get closer to the heel. Little bit of back edge relief. Overall, it's very Mizuno-y in terms of shape. Very very soft shape. There's not many like harsh lines. You can see this back sticking out a little bit, but again, similar to the Srixon, it's a very clean back. There's not a ton going on, which I do like. I really love the face of this thing. I love the fact that they did not make it black because it's not gonna wear nearly as badly as a face that's coated in a black finish. So that I do really like, and it contrasts really well with the black finish on the rest of the head as well. In terms of offset, not much. Looks really, really nice at address. This to me looks like the most versatile of the clubs down at address. All right, I pulled that one a little bit, but in terms of feel, really hot off the face, which is interesting. I would not have expected that from the Mizuno. I would have expected it to feel a little bit more like the PXG. Actually felt like the Srixon, maybe on steroids a little bit, like even hotter than that, which is interesting. In terms of numbers, really good. 152 ball, 231 carry, 11.5 launch, 4,400 spin. Missed it, still felt really good. I missed that low on the face and it just wasn't like a harsh feel. Still came off with a little bit of heat. 151 ball speed, 229 carry, 10.6 launch, 4,500 spin. Those are really good numbers. Really good numbers. Again, kind of low faced it, but still got up in the air. 149 ball, 229 carry, 10.3, 4,300. I mean, I pulled that a little bit. That has nothing to do with the club, but that to me felt like fantastic contact. 152 ball, 233 carry, 4,400, 12.6. Yeah, it seems like to me on these ones I'm hitting good, this one's launching a little bit higher. Ball speed seems very, very quick, which is fantastic. But we'll go ahead and try to flight these now. See if this thing is super versatile or not. Ball back it a little bit. I think this might be a little bit more upright than the other ones, which is maybe why I'm pulling it slightly. But in terms of flight, really good. 6.7 launch, 153 ball, which I think is our fastest of the day, 230 carry, 4,000 spin. I'm kind of remembering why I used to game one of these. It's pretty snazzy. That was a severe mishit and still really good. That's what I'm talking about with the spin. Because that spun 4,000, it didn't like dive out of the sky. 145 ball, so you can tell that was a pretty big mishit. 218 carry, 8.5 launch. Yeah, I think this seems like the most forgiving so far of the three. But one more ball back. That is really good. 150, 6.7, 224, 4,400. Love that. Definitely not as low launch as those two, I would say, but very quick ball speed. And to me, seems like the most forgiving. But now we're gonna go high with these, see what we can do. Really good. 12.5, 152, 229, 4,800. Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. All right, one more with this. Always try to end on a good one. Probably like shank it now that I said that. That is really nice. I mean, I wouldn't hit that shot on the golf course because I'm trying to lean so far back on it to get it up in the air, but to be able to do that is awesome. 13.1 launch, which is our highest launch angle of the day, 152 ball, 231 carry, 4,600. This thing is pure, man. Wow. And it's funny because I really like those two, but right now that one's standing out. All right, last club of the day. Taylormade's latest P UDI just came out. So this is a 20 degree and we have it bent to 19. Taking a look down at this thing, much, much different than the other ones. To me, this looks more like a driving iron. There's really not much mass in the back of the head. This one does not look like it wants to go high in the air. Shaping wise, really good. It's actually a relatively soft shape in terms of what I'm seeing. Kind of something I wouldn't have expected from Taylormade. To me, looks softer than the last version of the P790 UDI. In terms of offset, there's definitely a little bit, but you have to remember that this is bent a degree strong, so that's to be expected. I like the shape of it. To me, this just looks more like something I would play in a 4-iron as opposed to a 2-iron because it's just not gonna go very high, I don't think. But we'll see if the numbers tell us something different. All right, something that has to be noted, because that ball is drifting right, is this is a much softer shaft than the other three. This is just the stock recoil dart. So this is gonna be a little bit more right bound, just so we're kind of on the same page here. But in terms of numbers, 151, 231 carry, 11.5 launch, 4,400. But in terms of feel, nice and hot, very similar to the Srixon, I would say, in terms of feel. 148, 11.2, 224, 4,600. This to me, it doesn't look as thick as the Srixon, but it is a very similar, I would say, performing club, just in terms of those first two shots, which is interesting, because you gotta remember, Scotty Scheffler is using the ZU85 utility from a few years back in his 3 and 4 iron. You wonder if Taylormade maybe tried to make these to try to get him in Scotty Scheffler's bag. This UDI is obviously not gonna be as thick as the ZU85, but the PDHY is a little bit thicker like those, so maybe they're trying to get those in Scheffler's bag. Just something to note. Don't know if that's true. Don't quote me on it. But yeah, to me feels very similar to the Srixon. That was a severe mishit. I like towed the crap out of that, but actually did pretty well. 145, 224, 3950, 11.2. Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you guys, this club just doesn't quite do it for me. Just based on those first few shots, like I don't feel like it's as versatile, and it just doesn't seem as forgiving, like especially if I like low face one, I feel like this is just gonna come out like super low. Yeah, that was kind of low face, and I don't feel like that got up very much. Yeah, 10 launch, 151, 234. Really quick ball speed, to be fair. And that one went pretty far, 4,000 spin. But yeah, I don't think it's gonna be as versatile, and I don't think it's gonna do quite as well on those low face strikes. But on the contrary, when I go to flight this thing, I have a feeling it's gonna do pretty darn well. So we'll ball back it. And it does. 4.7, 149, 218, 3600. Yeah, to me, this is more of a driving iron. Like you would hit this off of tees if you really struggle with a driver and a 3-wood, but I don't think you would hit it into many greens unless you're a faster player. Not that those go super high, but they're definitely easier to elevate. I mean, without a doubt. And the other thing too is because this sole isn't as wide as those, I feel like I can get steeper into the ground. It's not like the back edge is resisting that sort of steepness into the ground, if that makes sense. Yeah, like I feel like I could hit this thing just super low if I wanted. I mean, even though this is a 19 degree, they make this down into a 17. That launched at 4.9, 3800, 219, 149. If I had the 17, dude, I'm gonna be launching this thing at like 2.5. One more low one. Try to hit it super low and just get crazy steep for fun. I mean, who the hell is ever gonna try to hit that shot? That thing carried like 150 yards. It says it carried 0 yards, 0 launch. Okay, well, we know it carried a little further than that. 145 ball, 3800. I mean, yeah, if you're stuck in the trees like the majority of your round, this will probably help you get back and play. That's how I would describe this. But at the same time, because it's a driving club, maybe you won't have to hit driver in the trees to begin with. You could just hit this off the tee. What was that, like 3.8, 3.1, 149, 211, 3700. Well, we'll try to hit it high. We'll see what we can do. Yeah, and as I try to hit it high, the softness is just making it want to go right. 11.2, 4400, 147. I thinned that, and you can just see didn't quite get up. All right, I tried to hit it high and release it and, you know, not make it go right. And it's not getting up, man. 152, which is quick ball, 235, 11.2, 4200. To me, definitely just seems the lowest launch, lowest spin of these 4 clubs. It's a good club. I just don't think it quite fits what I would be looking for in terms of a driving iron. Although I would use a driving iron more specifically for teeing shots, I do like to have a little bit of forgiveness and a little bit of versatility within the head so I can hit different shots if I absolutely need to. And this is just really a driving iron. But nonetheless, that was a test, guys. Let's go ahead and go over my final conclusions here. Right, guys, so there was our testing. I hope you enjoyed it. Let's go over my final conclusions. We're going to break this down into 4 categories. My top pick for looks, feel, versatility, and then an overall performer. Let's go ahead and start with looks. All right, so starting with looks, I think it really depends. I know I say this a lot when it comes to these kind of testing videos, but it really does depend what you're looking for. Me personally, I like to feel with the driving iron, because it's already such a low launching club, that I have a little bit of help in the back of the head, low and back in the head in terms of CG, to help get the golf ball up in the air, or if I miss strike one low on the face, I'm still gonna get a decent amount of carry out of it. So for me personally, I do really like the Mizuno Pro Fli Hi for 2024. Now, I actually really like all of these in their own way. I think in terms of clubs where you wanna see a little bit of help, but you don't want something that looks like it is gonna go up in the air, that's where the Srixon and PXG do a really good job. But if you're somebody who really likes to see a driving iron that just wants to be a penetrating low ball flight, that's where the P UDI is probably the best out of the bunch in terms of looks. Now, in terms of feel, again, it really depends. You know, for me personally, I really like all of these in their own way. I would say the softest feeling club out of the bunch is definitely the PXG 0317X. On the contrary to that, if you're somebody who doesn't really like softness in their driving irons, me personally, I like my long irons and driving irons to feel a little bit hotter. That's where the Srixon, Taylormade, and Mizuno do a really good job. Now, the Srixon feels hot and soft, just like the Taylormade. Now, what's interesting about the Mizuno is you think it would feel soft like the majority of Mizuno golf clubs do, but it actually feels a little bit more hot than soft. Me personally, I love that. I think this thing feels incredible off the face and very different from what I'm used to from Mizuno. But in terms of feel, I really like the Mizuno Pro Fli Hi for 2024. It's just very, very hot off the face. Feels absolutely phenomenal. That chromoly it's something else. I mean, it's really, really impressive from a feel standpoint. It doesn't feel like not soft, but it just feels faster than anything, if that makes sense. But again, it really just depends what you're looking for in terms of feel. Now, in terms of versatility, me personally, I would pretty easily rule out the P UDI. This to me just just wants to go low. It does not want to be hit up in the air. If you really want something like that from Taylormade, that's where the DHY would do a little bit of a better job. The other three clubs are all pretty versatile. They seem to want to launch relatively low on a stock shot, maybe low to mid, and then you can hit them up a little bit higher in the air if you want. You know, if you're somebody who really likes to have more mid trajectory the majority of the time, I think Srixon and the PXG would probably be your best bets. On the contrary, and I think in terms of versatility as a whole, the Mizuno Pro Fli Hi, again, does the best job of this. You know, you can hit this low. The stock shot for me is relatively low to mid. If I want to hit it lower, I can get this thing below 7 launch, probably below 6 launch if I really want, but I can also hit this thing up in the air. You know, if I'm hitting off a tight turf, I'm trying to hit from 240 yards into a green, I really feel like I can kind of take this, put it a little bit further up in my stance and hit one a little bit higher. That is going to land nice and soft. So for me, versatility wise, I probably would take the Mizuno Pro Fli Hi. Again, I mean, it seems like it's winning all these categories, but it's just a really, really good club. So those three categories pretty much perfectly lead us into our final, which is overall performance. And you guys probably couldn't guess it. It's the Mizuno Pro Fli Hi. This thing is phenomenal, man. You know, I used to play the old model. I took it out of the bag for some other clubs I've been testing and using and really enjoying. But going back to this 2024 model, honestly, I didn't really think they could do much better over the old model. But to me, this thing looks a little bit cleaner. They took out this bead blast finish on the top from the old model, and it feels better than the old model. It feels hotter off the face. And as a whole, it does everything pretty freaking well, which is just awesome. You know, I don't think Mizuno is really known for this category, but this Fli Hi is honestly superb. I am very, very impressed with it. You know, I think as a whole, all of these clubs are phenomenal in their own way. It really does depend what you're looking for. I would love to hear your guys' opinions on these irons if you've had the chance to test them or you're considering them for your bag. So please go ahead and drop those in the comments down below. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments down below or shoot me a DM via Instagram. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a like. Make sure you're subbed to the YouTube channel and you click that notification bell so you are notified anytime that we post a new video. Additionally, make sure you're following us on our other social media channels, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. Always great content on those channels as well. We'll catch you in the next video. Peace.